The last normal thing I remember from that night was the sound of the dishwasher finishing. It was just after 11:30, and my apartment in Charlotte felt exactly the way I liked it when I got back from work trips. Quiet, clean, and briefly mine again. I had flown in from Tampa that evening on a delayed connection, spent 40 minutes waiting for a gate, another 30 on the tarmac, and then dragged my carry-on through a terminal that smelled like floor polish and burnt coffee. By the time I got home from the airport train, my phone was at 19%. My shoulders were tight from sitting all day, and I had that dull, floaty exhaustion that makes you move carefully around your own kitchen like you're a guest there. I set my keys in the ceramic bowl by the door. I rinsed out the travel mug I'd used that morning and lined it upside down next to the sink. I checked the lock on the front door twice out of habit. I opened the fridge and stood there in the white light looking at half a rotisserie chicken, a carton of eggs, yellow mustard, 2 beers, and a takeout container from a Thai place I liked on South Boulevard. Safe things. Familiar things, the kind of details that make a room feel defended. My sister Erin had texted while I was in the air.
You home? Landing. Why? Call me when you can.
I called her with a fork in one hand and the takeout container balanced on the counter. She didn't answer the first time. On the second try, she picked up sounding winded and angry in the way people do when they've been trying not to panic and finally run out of room to hold it in.
I'm so sorry. I know you just got home.
My stomach dropped before she said anything else. What happened?
Dad fell in the garage.
The chicken and noodles sat open on the counter between us, steam barely rising. Is he okay?
They think he broke his hip. He's at Mercy. Mom's there, but she's a mess, and they want someone to sign some intake stuff because Dad's on pain meds, and Mom left her purse at home in all the chaos. I'm in Greensboro with Owen. I can leave, but I'm 2 hours out, and the sitter situation is a disaster.
I was already reaching for my wallet, mentally back inside motion and fluorescent light and machines. I'll go.
Michael, it's late.
He's my dad. There was a pause. I could hear a television somewhere on her end and one of her kids crying in another room.
Thank you.
Text me the room number.
I already sent it. And Michael,
Yeah?
call me when you get there.
I hung up, put the uneaten takeout back in fridge, and went to my bedroom to change out of the jeans I'd worn on the plane. I pulled on a hoodie, grabbed my charger, and checked the rideshare apps. The parking deck attached to my building was under construction that week, and my car was boxed in on the 5th level behind orange barricades and a concrete pour they'd promised would be finished by morning. It was one of those stupid temporary inconveniences that only becomes important after the fact. Outside, the hall was still. One neighbor had left a pair of running shoes on a mat under a wall sconce. Somebody's dryer sheet smell drifted faintly through the corridor. I remember thinking I'd be back in 90 minutes, 2 hours tops. Hospital, signature, maybe bring Mom home. Sleep. I booked the ride standing in my living room, charger in one hand, overnight rain tapping lightly at the windows. Standard UberX. Driver arriving in 6 minutes. Name, Daniel. Silver Toyota Camry. Rating, 4.97. I slipped my wallet into my back pocket, unplugged the lamp beside the couch because the bulb had been flickering, and bent to tie one shoe tighter. Then my phone buzzed with a message I almost missed because it came from an unknown number. I'm here. Come out alone. For a second, I thought it was a spam text, some wrong number, some scam. Then I looked at the rideshare app again and saw the little car icon stop directly in front of my building. That was the moment. The whole night changed.
I told myself not to be dramatic. That's the thing I hate admitting now. Not that I got in the car, not even that I stayed in it as long as I did. The part I hate is how many warning signs I converted into ordinary explanations because I was tired, and because ordinary explanations are cheaper. They cost less in the moment. You can buy yourself another minute with them, another mile, another exit. I took the elevator down to the lobby with my phone in my hand and the text open on the screen. Unknown number. No area code I recognized. I checked the app again. Daniel had sent a canned arrival notification through the app too. No message there beyond, "I've arrived." The lobby doors slid open onto the wet street. My building sat on a block that felt busier in the daytime than it really was. At that hour, the restaurants were dark, except for one sports bar with blue signs still glowing across the corner. The road shone black under streetlights. Rain had eased into a mist. A silver Camry idled at the curb with its hazards blinking. The license plate matched. I opened the back passenger door and leaned in automatically before getting all the way inside. The driver turned his head and smiled without really smiling. Maybe 50, maybe older. Heavy jaw, close-cropped gray hair, a plain black zip-up jacket. His face had that washed-out look some people get under dashboard light. But it wasn't his face I remember first. It was his eyes. He held eye contact too early and too long, like he'd been waiting to compare me to a picture.
Michael?
The way he said my name wasn't wrong. It was too right. Not questioning, not even confirming, just placing me where he already expected me to be. Yeah.
Hop in. Roads are slick tonight.
His voice was calm, almost gentle, with a flat regional accent I couldn't place. Not Southern exactly. Not anything exactly. I got in. The car smelled faintly of pine air freshener and something underneath it I didn't identify right away. Not alcohol, not cigarettes. Cleaner, maybe. Industrial soap. The seats were spotless. The floor mats looked almost wet, as if they'd been scrubbed recently and not fully dried. On the center console beside his phone mount sat a gas station receipt folded into a neat square. He pulled away from the curb before I had my seatbelt clicked. My phone was at 16% now. I plugged it into my portable battery and watched the map populate. Destination, Mercy Hospital. Estimated arrival, 23 minutes. Normal. That's what I kept thinking. Normal.
Late night for the airport.
Yeah. Flight got delayed.
Business trip?
Something like that. He nodded, as if I'd answered a more specific question. We moved through Uptown, past bars letting out thin clusters of people under umbrellas, past parking garages shining with white concrete and half-empty levels, past men in dress shirts smoking under awnings, and women barefoot on sidewalks carrying their heels by the straps. The streets were slick enough to reflect every red light twice. At the second light, he looked at me in the rearview mirror again.
You live alone?
I laughed a little, because that's what people do when a line gets crossed, but not far enough to justify a scene. Sorry?
Just making conversation.
Long day. Not really in the mood.
Fair enough.
He didn't sound embarrassed. He sounded patient. We drove another 3 blocks. Instead of taking the ramp that would have put us on the freeway toward the hospital, he stayed on surface streets and turned east. I looked down at the map. The route had changed. Not by much. A gray line replaced the blue one and added 4 minutes, then 6 because of traffic ahead. Traffic at midnight. I zoomed out. There was nothing red on the freeway. No accident symbol, no closure icon. Just our little arrow moving into neighborhoods I didn't know well enough to name, but knew well enough not to want to be circling through after midnight in the rain. The app rerouted?
Wreck up ahead.
It doesn't show one.
These things lag.
He turned onto a narrower road, lined with dark ranch houses and chain-link fences. Porch lights glowed here and there. Television flickered behind curtains. The kind of suburb where nothing is wrong until everything is, because nobody sees it happen. I checked the app again. Daniel's rating. Plate match. Car match. My sister texted. Room 412. Ortho wing. Then another. Mom keeps asking where you are. I typed "on the way" and watched the message sit unsent while my signal dropped from 2 bars to 1 and then bounced back. I hit send again. This time it went.
Family emergency?
I looked up. Why?
Hospital at this hour usually means one of 3 things.
He lifted one hand from the wheel and counted with 2 fingers.
Baby, blood, broken bones.
Broken bones.
Father?
The inside of my mouth went dry. Lucky guess.
Men your age don't rush to hospitals for themselves, usually not at midnight.
Maybe that was all it was. A guess built out of age and destination, and the fact that my face probably looked tired and irritated instead of sick. A man can sound intelligent and frightening at the same time. I know that. I knew it then, too. But there was a small pause in me after that. A shift. Not panic yet, just the feeling of one puzzle piece turning in your fingers and not fitting anything you can see. I opened the safety toolkit in the app without letting him notice. Emergency assistance, share trip status, report issue, battery, 14%.
That's your dad and Mercy, or your stepdad?
He asked it casually, eyes on the road. I felt my whole body tighten under the hoodie. Why would you ask that?
Guessing? You hesitated before you said father. Usually means relationship is complicated.
You do this with all your passengers?
Helps pass the time.
We stopped at a 4-way intersection with no other cars in sight. His turn signal clicked, though nobody was around to see it. He looked into the mirror again. I understood then that the car wasn't just a car to him. It was a room, a place where he could study people while they had nowhere graceful to go. I hit share trip status and sent it to Aaron and to my friend Luis from work. Then I dropped my phone into my lap and pretended to answer a message.
You should plug that in up front if your battery's dying. Port stronger.
I'm good.
Hospital parking garage kills signal anyway.
I said I'm good.
Sure.
He smiled a little with one side of his mouth and took another turn that I knew with certainty now was wrong.
There's a point in fear where your mind splits into 2 working systems. The first one keeps performing the normal version of you. It sits upright. It answers in full sentences. It avoids escalating things because escalation would make the danger official. The second one starts inventory. Door locks, window switches. How fast are we going? What's within reach? What could become a weapon? Would jumping at 35 miles an hour kill you? Could you do it before he grabbed your arm? I sat in the back seat and took inventory. The child lock light wasn't visible, but when I slid my thumb against the door handle and pressed lightly, there was resistance that felt wrong. Maybe just the angle, maybe not. The window switch didn't respond on the first try. On the second, it moved down less than an inch and stopped. The rain hissed through the crack. He reached over and hit a master control near the driver's seat. The glass sealed shut again.
Safety lock. Bad weather.
My voice came out flatter than I felt. Turn that off.
In a minute.
No, now.
You want rain coming in on clean seats?
That cleaner smell in the car suddenly made more sense to me then, and for one insane second I wondered whether I was smelling bleach. I leaned forward a little, enough for him to see my face in the rearview mirror clearly. Pull over and let me out. He kept driving.
We're almost there.
We're not even going toward Mercy anymore.
Shortcut.
Pull over.
If I pull over here, you'll be standing in the rain in an industrial strip with dead warehouses and one closed body shop. That what you want?
I looked outside. He wasn't lying. The neighborhood had changed completely. No porches, no houses, just low commercial buildings, chain link fences, loading bays, and lots with puddles reflecting security lights. I hadn't even felt us cross into it. That's how gradual the shift had been. My phone buzzed.
You close?
I typed with one thumb. Driver going weird. Wrong route. It failed to send. I toggled airplane mode on and off. 1 bar, then nothing.
Cell service stinks through here.
He said it before I could. How convenient.
You're anxious, I get it. People get in a stranger's car and all of a sudden every turn feels personal.
Stop the car.
There's a gas station ahead.
Good. Stop there.
Too many cameras.
The words landed between us like dropped pieces of metal. He didn't correct himself. I felt an actual physical coldness move through my back and down into my legs.
I meant too crowded. Hard to pull in and out this time of night with people parked stupid.
There was no one on the road but us. I didn't argue. Arguing would have been for the version of reality where he was still bluffing at weirdness and I still had room to interpret him generously. Instead, I opened the emergency assistance screen again, and, with my hand low by my thigh, I pressed the option to call 911 through the app. Nothing happened. No bars. Call failed. I tried straight 911. Same result. The car rolled under an overpass and the sound changed for a second. Rain hammering concrete above us. He slowed at a red light where a camera pole looked down on the intersection. I memorized the street names. Weston, Harper, a sign for I-77 South 1 mile away, a boarded pawn shop, a mural on a brick wall with the blue heron and the words River District. I said them silently to myself like I was storing evidence.
You have siblings?
I stared at the back of his head. What?
The one texting you. Sister, right?
Every muscle in me locked. How do you know that?
You said Mom keeps asking where you are. Sounded like a sister sent it.
I hadn't said that out loud. I was sure of it. I had read the message. I had not spoken. He must have seen something on my face because he gave a small shrug.
Maybe I heard you mutter it.
He hadn't. I knew he hadn't. That was the first moment I believed he might actually know more about me than he should. And once that belief takes root, every ordinary thing turns evidentiary. Every pause means he's choosing words. Every route change means he has a plan. Every glance in the mirror becomes measurement. My breathing had gone shallow. I made myself correct it. In through the nose, out slowly. Don't give him panic. Don't give him a reason to enjoy himself more. I leaned down as if adjusting my shoe and slid my carry-on luggage tag, still looped around the bag I'd brought back from the airport and stupidly brought downstairs with me because I hadn't unpacked, off the side. The paper tag had my full name printed on the airline sticker. My address wasn't on it, but the name was there. Maybe he'd seen it when I got in. Maybe. Then I remembered I hadn't brought the suitcase. It was still in my apartment, half unzipped by the bed. I sat back up very slowly. He took the next exit off a frontage road and into an area of half-built apartment complexes and empty lots. Mud, silt fencing, piles of pipes, temporary street lamps throwing pale cones into drizzle. There was no hospital anywhere near us, no downtown glow, no traffic. Just the blank edges of a city still under construction.
You know what the problem is with rideshare?
I said nothing.
People assume the app is the ride. They stop looking at the person.
My hand closed around my portable battery. It was metal, small, hard enough to hurt him if I hit him from behind, but not hard enough to finish anything if I missed.
And the company assumes the person is the app. They don't really care where anyone goes as long as the little blue line eventually reaches somewhere.
Why are you telling me this?
Because I want you calm enough to listen.
He turned onto an access road running along a drainage ditch. Beyond it stood a row of unfinished townhouses, all dark windows and wrapped lumber. The kind of place no one occupies yet, and everyone forgets exists after 6 p.m. Then he braked so gently, I barely felt the stop.
Here's what's going to happen.
I reached for the door handle and yanked. Nothing. No panic, just action. Again. Harder. Nothing. I hit the window switch. Dead. He looked at me in the mirror.
patient as a man explaining policy to a customer.
You're going to put your phone on the seat, then your wallet. Then you're going to tell me whether anyone besides the sister is expecting you tonight.
I had never been inside a trap before. Not really. You can say you have because of jobs or marriages or debt or grief, but that's language. This was mechanical, deliberate. You move your hand and the machine tells you no. Why?
Because if I know how much noise follows you, I know how much time I have.
I gripped the battery tighter. You touch me, you're dead. He actually laughed at that, quietly.
That's the spirit that gets people hurt.
He put the car in park and turned halfway in his seat. In his right hand, low and close to his thigh, was a compact stun gun or taser. I still don't know which. Black, small, enough. He didn't raise it. He didn't need to.
Phone on the seat.
I thought of my father on morphine in a hospital bed, my mother without her purse, Aaron waiting for a call, the apartment I had left lit and orderly and ordinary, all of it suddenly very far away. I put the phone on the seat beside me.
Wallet.
I didn't move. He clicked the device once. My whole body recoiled before I could stop it.
Wallet.
I slid it from my pocket and placed it beside the phone. He held out his left hand, without taking his eyes off me.
Now talk.
The part people always ask about later is why I didn't fight then. Like there's a clean answer that makes either version of me understandable. The truth is, I was measuring the moment wrong, because I still thought survival might look like compliance. I thought he wanted cash, cards, maybe my phone, maybe a few minutes of terror that ended with me dumped somewhere to make my own 911 call. I did not yet understand that the worst men are not always after the thing they name first. My sister expects me at the hospital. My mom's there. That's it. He studied my face.
Anybody at home?
No.
Anybody who tracks your location all the time? Girlfriend, boyfriend, work?
No.
Good.
He took my wallet, flipped it open one-handed, and looked at my driver's license under the dome light.
Michael Avery, 36, apartment 9C.
My blood seemed to stop moving. That's not on my license.
No.
My voice broke a little on the next word, and I hated him for hearing it. How do you know that?
Because I picked the right building.
He set the wallet on the passenger seat beside him and nodded toward the windshield.
You know what I need from you tonight? One small thing, then you walk away.
What thing?
An errand.
I stared at him. You kidnapped me for an errand?
Don't dress it up. You got in the car.
The unfairness of that line hit me harder than the threat itself. I can still hear it, that neat little moral adjustment, the way he moved a crime half an inch away from himself and tried to set it on me. He reached toward the center console and unfolded the gas station receipt I had noticed earlier. It wasn't from a gas station, I saw now. It was thermal paper from some convenience store or pharmacy, blank on one side except for a printed number and the words, "Pickup 24-hour locker." He held it up between two fingers.
There's a storage facility 4 minutes from here. Outside lockers. You go in, you key this code, you take what's inside, and you bring it back. That's it.
Why not do it yourself?
Because they know my face.
Then they'll know yours from the car.
Not if you walk.
The answer came too quickly, rehearsed. This is insane.
No, this is organized.
He started the car moving again before I could say more. We rolled through another mile of development roads and came to a fenced storage complex lit like an island in the dark. Rows of climate-controlled units inside long, tan buildings. A separate bank of metal parcel lockers near the office. Security cameras under the eaves. He pulled into the lot but not near the office.
Far edge, camera blind spot or close to one.
You walk in normal. You don't run. You don't wave at the camera. You get the package. You bring it back. Then I let you out somewhere with signal and you forget me.
What's in it?
None of your business.
And if I don't?
Then I know where your mother lives too.
I didn't know how he knew that. I still don't know how much of what he said was real and how much was bluff backed by data he'd pulled from somewhere. Social media, people search sites, account leaks, anything. But that's the thing about good predators now. They don't need certainty. They need enough truth to make your imagination do the rest. He unlocked the rear door with a soft click I almost didn't hear.
Bring me the envelope, Michael.
I got out into misting rain and cold light. The air smelled like wet concrete and cedar mulch from fresh landscaping. My knees were weak enough that for a second I thought I might actually fall. The office was closed, but the locker bank was accessible under a metal awning. I could feel the cameras on me. I wanted to wave, I wanted to bang on glass, but there was nobody inside. Just a lit desk, a fake plant, a printer sleeping blue behind a window. I entered the code with fingers that barely worked. The locker door popped open. Inside was a manila envelope about the size of a legal pad, sealed with clear tape. That should have been the end of it. Grab it, run to the office door, scream, maybe trigger a motion sensor, maybe be seen on camera long enough to create a record. But fear narrows the future to 1 inch at a time. I kept seeing the stun gun, kept hearing my mother's name in his mouth, even though he hadn't actually said it, only implied enough. I took the envelope. Then I saw something lying flat under it in the locker. A phone. Cheap prepaid model. Screen dark. I picked it up too on instinct. It lit with a lock screen notification the moment I touched it. No delivery without confirmation photo. And below that, a thumbnail image loaded. It was a picture of me. Not from that night, daytime. Me getting coffee outside my office building 2 weeks earlier, looking down at my phone, unaware. I dropped the prepaid phone back into the locker like it had shocked me. The image burned into me anyway. That was when I stopped believing I had been chosen randomly. I snatched the envelope, shoved the locker shut, and walked back toward the Camry, trying not to break into a run too soon. The rain had intensified, fine needles against my face. When I was 10 yards from the car, I changed direction suddenly and sprinted toward the office instead.
Michael!
His door flew open behind me. I hit the office glass with both hands. Help! Open the door! Help! No one. Motion lights kicked brighter. A camera tilted on its mount with a tiny servo sound. Behind me, I heard fast footsteps. Not panicked, just angry. I turned and threw the metal battery pack as hard as I could. It hit him high on the cheekbone with a dull crack. He stumbled sideways and the stun gun dropped in the wet gravel. I ran. Not toward the road, toward the side gate where a keypad box glowed red and green beside a pedestrian latch. I had seen a delivery guy go through one like it once and guessed there might be an exit button inside the fence line. My shoes slid on slick concrete. He caught the back of my hoodie and yanked hard enough to half choke me. We went down together. His hand clamped over my mouth.
Stop fighting. Stop fighting and this stays simple.
He was stronger than I expected, and heavier. His breath smelled like coffee and mint and something medicinal. My head hit the edge of the curb and stars burst across my vision. The envelope tore under us. Paper spilled into the rain. His grip shifted. I bit him. Hard. He jerked back with a sound that was almost more surprise than pain. I drove my elbow backward blindly and connected with something soft. He swore. I got one knee under me and shoved off the ground, grabbing at anything. My hand closed around a laminated placard zip-tied to a fence post. Facility map. Not useful. but the zip tie cut into my fingers and snapped. I turned and slashed the sharp plastic edge across his face. He screamed then. Real. Human. And in that second, because luck is ugly and indifferent, headlights turned into the lot from the road. A pickup truck. He looks toward it. I ran toward it. "Help me! Call 911! He tried to..." The driver of the pickup braked halfway into the entrance. A man in a yellow rain jacket leaned out his window, stunned.
What the hell?
I got both hands on his door. "Lock your doors! Call 911! Behind me, the Camry engine revved. I turned in time to see Daniel reverse violently, whip around in a spray of water and shoot out of the lot, with one headlight half dark where I'd hit him, or where maybe something had broken in the struggle. The yellow-jacketed man was already fumbling for his phone.
You bleeding, buddy?
My mouth tasted like metal. My hoodie was torn. One of my knees had gone warm and wet under the denim. "Call, please!" He did. And for a few minutes, that should have been the end of the story, too. But it wasn't. The police came fast once there was a call from a fixed location and a witness and cameras. 2 cruisers first, then EMS because someone noticed the cut on the back of my head. Then a detective in plain clothes who looked like he hadn't slept and didn't plan to start. His name was Detective Carla Jensen. Mid-40s maybe, dark blazer over a t-shirt, rain in her hair, voice like gravel rubbed smooth by years of not having time for theater. I told the story sitting on the bumper of an ambulance with a blanket around my shoulders and a pressure bandage taped to my scalp. My father was still in the hospital across town. My sister was now calling every 2 minutes. My phone, miraculously, had been left in the back seat or had slid under it during the struggle, so I had nothing. No way to text, call, check the app, prove the route, anything. Carla took notes without interrupting much.
Describe him again.
Late 50s maybe, gray hair, white, black jacket, strong build, calm voice. Cut on his face now, bite on his hand.
You're sure it was an Uber?
Plate matched, app matched, name was Daniel.
Show me when we get a replacement phone in your hands.
I don't have one.
We'll get into your account.
The yellow jacket guy, whose real name turned out to be Marcus, told them what he saw. A man on top of another man in the rain, my screaming, the Camry tearing out. Good enough to start, not enough to finish. Then one of the uniforms came over holding the papers from the envelope in a clear evidence bag. 3 sheets, all printed photos. Carla looked at them first. Her mouth changed slightly before she handed them to me. They were pictures of me. Not one, not a few. 3 that night, more later. Outside my building, at my office, at a grocery store. Standing beside my car on a Sunday afternoon, carrying dry cleaning, sitting in an airport gate chair from far off like someone pretending to text while aiming the camera past me. Different dates, different clothes, weeks, maybe months, and on the back of one photo, written in black marker, were the words, "Lives alone, usual 2's Thurs gym, sister local, verify." I remember laughing once through my nose when I read that, because the alternative was something worse.
You know anyone who'd do this?
No.
Ex-girlfriend? Coworker? Lawsuit? Neighbor dispute?
No.
Anybody who had access to your travel schedule tonight?
I thought about work, about Outlook calendars and copied itineraries in those little pieces of adult life we leave lying around for systems to digest. A lot of people knew I was coming back from Tampa. Co-workers, maybe admin. My family knew.
Anybody besides family know your father was in the hospital?
No, that happened tonight.
Then he either got lucky with the destination, or he wasn't planning around the hospital. He was planning around you taking a ride.
I looked at the photos again. The locker phone had a picture of me too. It said no delivery without confirmation photo.
Meaning someone on the other end wanted proof you were there.
The words sat between us in the rain-silver light of the lot. Not a driver improvising, not a creep freelancing. A process. She sent an officer with me and Marcus to the locker. The cheap phone was still there, so were the camera recordings from the storage facility, at least according to the manager they dragged out of bed by phone. They would get the footage. They would get the license plate from the entrance camera. They would get everything. That's what everyone says in the active tense before paperwork and backlog and corporate liability get involved. At 2:40 a.m., a patrol officer drove me to Mercy because that part of the night had somehow remained unfinished. I walked into orthopedics with dried blood in my hair and my hoodie and an evidence bag. My mother stood up so fast from the plastic waiting room chair she nearly fell.
Michael, what happened to you?
I lied. I slipped in the rain. My father was pale with pain medication, annoyed to be in a hospital, annoyed to need surgery, annoyed most of all that everybody looked frightened around him. I signed the papers. I answered insurance questions. I got my mother's purse from her house before sunrise because she still couldn't think straight. I borrowed her charger. I logged into my rideshare account from her kitchen table while the coffee maker gurgled and dawn came gray over the cul-de-sac. There was no trip history for the ride. That's the part people misunderstand when I tell it. They assume maybe I got in the wrong car and created the rest out of fear. But the plate matched, the car matched, the app matched when I checked it in the lobby. I know what I saw. Yet by daylight, there was no completed ride, no canceled ride, nothing from my address to Mercy Hospital. Just the airport train trip earlier and an old receipt from a month before. I called Uber support. I spent 38 minutes being transferred. Different departments, scripted sympathy, verification questions. Eventually, a woman with a patient voice told me there had been no driver assigned to me at that time because my request had failed after a connection issue. I actually laughed. Then how did a car with the right plate get to my building 6 minutes later?
Sir, I can only speak to the data associated with your account.
A man tried to abduct me.
I'm very sorry that happened.
The plate matched.
I'm not seeing a matched trip.
Then your system is compromised.
I understand your concern.
No, she didn't. I hung up and called Detective Jensen from my mother's driveway. She listened, unsurprised.
We pulled the plate from the storage facility, stolen off another Camry 3 days ago.
Great.
Storage facility footage caught him in a hood and cap, partial face when you hit him with the battery pack. We sent it out. Car entered from the south gate where the camera resolution's worse. No clear VIN, no rideshare decal visible.
What about the locker?
Locker was rented online through prepaid cards through a fake ID. Package contents look like photocopied bank statements and a flash drive. Could be fraud, could be identity theft, could be blackmail material. We're working it.
And the photos of me?
That's what bothers me most.
She didn't have to explain why. It bothered me because it moved the night backward, took what I had thought was a chance encounter and stretched roots under weeks I had considered my own. It meant I had been living inside somebody else's notes without knowing it. I didn't go home for 2 nights. I stayed with my parents because my father had surgery, and because the thought of riding an elevator up to 9C made my skin crawl. I changed passwords, locked down my social accounts, searched my own name the way stalkers search it, seeing for the first time how much of me existed in public if you knew where to look. Old addresses, relatives, political donation records, a charity 5K time from 2019, a board member newsletter from work with my headshot and direct line. Little pieces, enough to sketch a life.
The police took it seriously at first. They had reason to. Then, slowly, the case became one case among others. A fraud angle opened in another county involving rented lockers and stolen mail. A woman in Colombia reported a strange rideshare pickup attempt from outside her apartment, but got spooked and went back inside before getting in.
A man in Atlanta claimed he had been followed from the airport by a car that displayed the same plate as the app, then lost it in traffic. Patterns without edges. Carla kept calling, though. That mattered. On the fourth day, she asked me to come to the station to review stills from the storage footage. I sat in a cold interview room beneath buzzing fluorescent tubes and watched frame after frame of grainy, rain-lit images. Him at the lot, me running, the struggle, the Camry leaving. Then she slid one final photo across the table. Not from the storage facility. From my building lobby security camera. Timestamp, 11:29 p.m., 9 minutes before I came downstairs. The image showed a man in a black jacket standing just beyond the glass doors, outside under the awning, looking at his phone. Not Daniel, or maybe not the version of him I had in memory. The angle was bad, but the build was similar. What mattered wasn't the man. What mattered was what he was looking at. Someone had zoomed and sharpened the image enough that the screen glow showed a photograph already open on his phone. It was a picture of me inside my apartment, near my kitchen counter, taken through my own window.
I don't remember leaving the station. I remember the steering wheel under my hands later, parked behind a grocery store because I realized I had driven there without deciding to. The picture from his phone wasn't perfectly clear. It didn't need to be. I knew the angle, knew the kitchen light, knew the shape of the takeout container on the counter, knew the sleeve of the hoodie I had not yet put on when he stood outside my building. If he had that photo before I came downstairs, then the ride had never been the plan. The ride was just the enclosure. The plan started at my window. I drove straight to my apartment, against every instruction everyone had given me, because once fear changes shape, you need to look at the place where it first entered. I wasn't brave. I was furious. Detective Jensen met me there after I called from the parking deck. She was not happy.
You don't come here alone.
I'm not alone now.
That's not the point.
She brought a uniform and walked the perimeter of the building with me in late afternoon light. My apartment faced a side street and a narrow service alley behind a hedge and low iron fence. Pretty in the brochure way modern complexes are pretty. Big windows, ground landscaping, decorative privacy, not actual privacy. From the sidewalk outside, if my blinds were open, and I often left them open for the city glow when I got back late, you could see directly into my kitchen and part of the living room. There were faint shoe prints in the damp mulch bed beneath the window. Maybe old, maybe not. Carla crouched anyway.
Could be maintenance, could be landscaping.
Could be him.
Could be.
Inside, nothing obvious was disturbed. No broken locks, no moved drawers, no smell but my own apartment. Yet the space had changed completely for me. It no longer felt like a sealed place. It felt translucent, a diorama for somebody outside. Carla asked practical questions while the uniform photographed the latch and window frame.
Who knew you were back that night?
Family? Coworkers? Maybe neighbors noticed?
Anybody in this building know your routines?
Not really.
You date anyone casually? Anyone who might have seen inside from out here?
No.
Housekeeper, dog walker, repair tech?
No.
Anybody ever ask weird questions in the lobby, garage, mailroom?
I started to say no, then stopped. There was a guy, maybe 2 weeks earlier, in the mailroom. He asked whether the elevators were always broken because he was coming to visit someone in 9C or 9D. I told him 9C was me and the elevators were fine. He said wrong building and left. Carla looked up sharply.
Why didn't you mention that?
Because at the time it was nothing.
What'd he look like?
Baseball cap, maybe a beard, I don't know. White guy, average height. I barely looked at him. Again, that was the crime of the whole story. Not looking long enough.
The uniform found something tucked behind the hedge under my window while we were still talking. A cigarette butt in a little plastic baggie, weighted with a pebble, not thrown away, saved. As if somebody had not wanted to leave DNA but couldn't bring himself to discard a habit. Or as if the bag had held something else first and he had reused it. Hard to say which possibility was worse. The lab later found no usable DNA. Of course. That night, Carla insisted I stay elsewhere again. I agreed. She also recommended I tell building management and ask for footage from the prior 2 weeks. Management gave me exactly 48 hours before claiming the older recordings had been overwritten. That was the first time I felt the case begin to die while I was still standing inside it.
About 10 days after the ride, my father came home with a walker and a list of restrictions he ignored almost immediately. My mother hovered. My sister brought casseroles no one wanted. Life, in other words, tried to reseal itself. I went back to work in a different shirt and the same skin. I stopped taking rideshares entirely. I changed the blinds. I had a security film installed on the windows and another lock on my door. I started checking parked cars on my street for repeat faces. I circled blocks before walking from garages to entrances. I learned how fast public databases update when you pay to remove yourself, and how slowly old information disappears once it has been copied elsewhere. 3 weeks passed with no breakthrough. Then Luis from work forwarded me a voicemail the front desk had received on the main office line. No caller ID, 9 seconds long. At first, all you heard was road noise, then a man's voice, calm and almost amused.
He still leaves the blinds half open on Thursdays.
Click. The front desk manager thought it was some deranged prank because Luis had already told a few people at work I'd been attacked by a fake Uber driver. That's how stories spread in offices, half concern, half something to discuss over protein bars in a break room. But Luis heard the message and sent it to me because the voice made the back of his neck go cold. Mine too. It might have been Daniel. I can't swear it was. Trauma makes a lot of men sound alike in the low register, but the cadence felt hymn-shaped, measured, patient, educated enough to enjoy understatement. I took the voicemail straight to Carla. She listened 4 times, then asked for every angle around my building again. Patrols started driving by more often for maybe a week. My boss offered remote work. I moved in with Luis for a month because his condo had no ground floor windows and because I couldn't bear the idea of somebody testing my blinds from the street like weather. It should comfort you, maybe, that nothing else happened physically after that. It doesn't comfort me. Because absence is not innocence. Silence is not surrender. Sometimes it just means a person changed methods. The fraud investigation tied the locker envelope to stolen financial records from an elderly man in Gastonia who had died 2 months earlier. The flash drive contained account information and scans of IDs. Mule work, identity theft. Maybe Daniel had wanted me to retrieve it because a clean-looking stranger on camera creates distance from the network behind it. Maybe if I'd brought the envelope back, they would have let me go. Maybe they wouldn't. Maybe the next step would have been leverage. Keep quiet, or these photos go to your employer, your family, your neighbors with a story attached. Once someone has studied you, they don't just see your body, they see your social structure. Carla believed there were at least 3 people involved, maybe more. One to source personal data, one to handle fake rides or cloned plate pickups, one to coordinate the lockers and accounts. She thought they'd tested different cities, thought they learned who would get in, who would refuse, who lived alone, who had enough routine to be shaped into errands. She was probably right. And then, because life is obscene in its timing, she got transferred to another unit. That was not supposed to matter. Cases survive personnel changes. Systems exist. Files continue. But individual belief matters more than people admit. She believed me down to the screws. The detective after her believed the file. Those are different things.
A year later, the case was officially listed as inactive, pending new leads. By then, I had moved apartments, then eventually cities. I stopped using my full first and last name in delivery apps. I stopped posting in real time from anywhere. I bought curtains instead of blinds. I learned to stand sideways when I looked out windows at night so my face wouldn't sit plainly in the glass. The story should end there, with adaptation. But there is one last thing, and it is the reason I still wake up certain some part of that night was aimed farther than I understood. 2 months after the case went inactive, my mother called me on a Sunday afternoon sounding oddly formal.
Michael, there's a manila envelope in the mailbox with no stamp.
I felt every vertebrae in my back go rigid. Don't touch anything else. Put it down. I'm calling the police.
I already brought it in.
Of course she had, because normal people still treat mail like mail. I drove to my parents' house with my chest so tight it hurt. Patrol beat me there. They opened the envelope on the kitchen table while my mother cried in the den and my father kept saying somebody's sick, somebody's really sick, as if naming sickness made the rest less deliberate. Inside was one sheet of paper, a printed screenshot from a rideshare app. Pickup, 11:38 p.m., South End, Charlotte. Destination, Mercy Hospital. Below that, in smaller type, another field I had never noticed before on my own app because it usually collapsed unless you expanded the trip details. Final stop after update. Avery, family, residence. Their address. My parents' house. The detective on scene thought at first that it had to be fake, a mock-up, a scare tactic. Maybe it was. Maybe they had recreated the interface manually. But Carla, who answered when I called, even from the other unit, said something I have never been able to shake.
Or the hospital was the fake destination.
What?
Think about it. He knew enough to trap you with a reason to travel. Emergency, family, time pressure. If he or someone near him had access to your account or your phone number or enough personal data, they could wait for a night when you were likely to move without thinking. The destination in the app only had to get you into the car. Once you were in, the real destination was wherever the blue line no longer mattered.
I sat in my parents' driveway after that call and looked at their dark front windows. There is a version of the story where I hadn't fought at the storage lot, where I brought him the envelope, got back in, and believed one more promise. A version where he smiles, says good, we're done, and then drives not towards signal or safety, but out to my parents' neighborhood, because the address is already waiting in his system. Because maybe the point wasn't just fraud. Maybe the point was pressure, access, a cleaner leverage point than me alone. 2 older people in a quiet cul-de-sac, one recovering from surgery, one who opens mail without suspicion. Maybe the package was phase 1 and my parents were phase 2. Maybe I was supposed to become useful because fear always scales best through family. Maybe he had watched my kitchen window to see whether I lived alone only because alone men are easier to redirect towards somebody else. Or maybe the printout was punishment, a message sent after he failed. Either possibility is bad enough that I have stopped pretending one comforts me more. That envelope became the last official evidence added to the file. No fingerprints, no usable trace, nothing that moved it from possibility to prosecutable fact. Just implication, just structure, just enough to know that when I got into that car, I was never going where I thought I was going. People like endings that lock. Arrest made, motive found, charges filed, statement to the press. They want the dangerous person turned back into one person, one body, one face. That way danger can leave with him through a courthouse door. I don't have that kind of ending. What I have is smaller and worse. 3 years after the ride, long after I moved, long after my father recovered and then later died of something entirely unrelated, long after my mother sold that house because she said it held too many versions of waiting, I got a package at my office in Raleigh with no return address. Inside were a set of custom-cut window blinds. No note, no invoice, just the blinds and a packing slip with my new office suite number typed correctly, and in the comment field one line, "For better coverage." The company name on the slip was fake, phone disconnected, payment method untraceable. Security cameras in my building showed only a courier dropping the box with several others in the lobby. Nothing happened after that either. And that, more than anything, is what keeps the story alive in me. Because a man who wants to hurt you right away is terrifying, but a man who can wait, who can let years pass and still place one object in your life at exactly the seam where it means the most, that man has moved beyond temper. He lives in intention. I still think about the first text. Here, come out alone. For a long time, I told myself that was simply instruction, a tactic, get the target isolated. But later, after the photos, after the voicemail, after the printout with my parents' address, I started hearing it differently. Not come out alone tonight. Come out as the version of yourself you are when you think no one is watching. The version that leaves the blinds half open, the version that trusts a matching plate, a quiet dashboard, a soft voice saying your name like it belongs to him. On some nights, when I wake up around 11:30 for no reason I can explain, I see that storage lot again. The rain, the camera motor turning, the locker opening, my own face waiting for me on a cheap prepaid screen. And the ugliest part, the part that still makes me feel sick with anger, is how close his line came to working. You got in the car. As if consent can be manufactured by good design, as if being deceived is a form of agreement, as if a trap becomes your choice the second it closes cleanly enough. That's what stays with me. Not just what he did, but the shape of the logic behind it, the ease with which men like that move blame 1 inch at a time until the victim is carrying part of the machine.
So no, I can't tell you exactly who Daniel was, or whether Daniel was ever his name, or whether the same man stood outside my window and called my office and mailed blinds later. I can't prove the hospital in the app was never the real destination. I can only tell you that a driver I never requested knew where I lived, knew enough about my family to scare me with silence, and tried to make me run an errand for people who already had photographs of my life. I can tell you the police found pictures of me taken over weeks, maybe longer. I can tell you the company said no ride ever existed. And I can tell you that after all of it, after the blood and the reports and the cameras and the envelope at my parents' house, the only lesson the world really offered me was to buy heavier curtains and move on.
That's the unfair part, the part that should bother you. Because I did everything a normal person would do that night. I answered a family emergency. I checked the plate. I got into the car that matched the app. I tried to stay calm. I tried to survive intelligently. And somewhere out there is a man, or a few men, who built a system around the fact that normal people still do normal things. I don't leave blinds half open anymore. I don't take rides when I'm tired. And whenever someone tells me a plate matched, a name matched, an address matched, so it must have been safe, I think of that car idling in the rain outside my building while a man stood under my window and watched me in my own kitchen before I ever stepped downstairs. Then I think of the last line on the packing slip, "For better coverage," and I close whatever window is nearest.